Support for your public radio station comes from our members and from Excellus Blue Cross Blue Shield, providing members with options for in-person and virtual care, creating ways to connect to care when and where it's needed. Learn more at excellusbcbs.com. And RIT's National Technical Institute for the Deaf, presenting this year's Lion Lecture Series featuring sound artist and performer Christine Sun Kim, Thursday, April 23rd at 7 p.m. at the RIT Performing Arts Center. Open to the public with registration at rit.edu/LYON.
From WXXI News, this is Connections. I'm Mona Seghatoleslami, borrowing the host chair today from my colleague Evan Dawson, and our connection was made in Chicago in 1984, where some claim that slam poetry was first created at a venue known as the Get Me High Lounge by Mark Smith, who was a construction worker as well as a poet, and his aim was making poetry more accessible, exciting, even competitive. Many of the elements, though, can be found earlier in other performance traditions, beat, hip-hop, and others. So today, as part of National Poetry Month, we're taking time to use our words to talk about the power of words in the art of slam poetry, what it's meant for generations of artists in Rochester. And we have some of the best with us here today. Lou Highsmith, who, no matter which form she's chosen to exhibit her talents, each has been reflective of her passion for spirituality, sensuality, and social consciousness. She was the executive director and slam master for Rock Bottom Slam Team, which was Rochester's first adult slam poetry team, and very active from 2013 to 2017. And when they disbanded in August of 2017, other poets went on to pursue other artistic interests, playwriting, directing, theater acting, hip-hop, and more. But last year, a small group known as the Rock Bottom family decided to start hosting poetry slams because there's still an interest from upcoming poets, from the audience. So after 3 months of very successful poetry slams, the North Star Poets formed organically. So welcome, Lou.
Thank you, Mona. Thank you.
And thanks for bringing some of your North Star Poets colleagues with you here today. We have Agape Armageddon Towns, Commissioner of Deeds and North Star Poet. Welcome.
Peace to you. Thank you for inviting me.
We also have here with us Matthew Edward Van Scott, a North Star poet who performs as, what is that again? I don't write.
Mossberg Matt.
Mossberg
The
Matt,
Deacon.
welcome. And also just joining us, one of the North Star poets, someone who I've heard talking about his music also, Shy the Realist.
Yes.
I guess
Thank you for
performing
having
it too.
Yes.
Well, I'm so glad to have all of you here to talk about this tradition, what it means for you, what it's meant as part of the community, and how people can perhaps even get involved. So I guess, Lou, can you start with what does slam poetry mean to you, and where did you first encounter it?
Okay. With slam poetry, I'm a little bit older than my friends here, but I was introduced to it when I was in college at Cheney University back in 1990-something. And it was something that I had not experienced or seen before. And when I came back to Rochester, my dear friend Rena Golden was getting things together for teens who wanted to participate in slam. So she did Slam High, and that was through Writers and Books. And because we knew each other as poets, she would invite me to be a judge quite often. With slam, the judges are random, but I would get a message, are you coming? If you're coming, you may want to volunteer to be a judge. So we follow the rules, but with the understanding that, I know a little bit about poetry, so I think I would make a good judge. So interestingly enough, Agape was one of the teenagers. I think he was about 15. I was a grown woman. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, I really loved it and embraced it. I love the competitive part of it. With slam, you have to have the content and the ability to write well, but you also have the aspect of performance, being able to express yourself in not just a deadpan, read your poem, recitation type of way. And then there's the judges, where you have people pulled from the audience who can be a judge. So I love that aspect of it as well. It's not some stuffy, professor or academic person who's judging your work. It could be a professor, but it could be Joe Schmo off the street, and you bringing him to a place of feeling and understanding what you're saying. I hadn't seen that in any other form at all. So yeah, so slam poetry for me, it just draws so many different aspects. So that's why I fell in love with it.
And that's Agape, since you got mentioned here. So you came across this as a teenager. What drew you to it, especially, and make sure you're right up to the mic there. Tell us a bit about encountering this and what it meant to combine words and performance in this way.
So my father was a hip hop artist here in Rochester, New York. He used to rap on WXITR and other things like that. He went by MC Storm. And he was heavy to putting me into music. So I didn't like mainstream stuff. I liked gospel rap. When I came to Rochester, I was born here, but I was raised in the South. So when I came to Rochester, gospel rap didn't really, wasn't a big market. So happened enough, I went to In Control, and individuals at In Control was like, yo, take your gospel raps. Can you write a poem? And I was like, all right. And they had a fashion show. And I wrote a poem called 9 Months Think Twice, which was geared towards teen pregnancy prevention and educating yourself or making the right choices and addressing that dynamic. An adult cried. When the adult cried, I said, oh, I wonder if there's more to this. So I started snooping around and doing anything that got to do with poetry for In Control. In comes Rena Golden and Coomba Consultants. And she's like, hey, we got this program where we want to have poets from schools compete. And I had never really competed. So, one of the number 2 fear in this country is public speaking. And this was a fear of mine as well. So I took poetry and spoken word, mixed it with gospel, and decided I would go be an inspirational type of poet. I would compete. But I didn't really have much to compete about. I didn't really know what to talk about. And all I had to draw from was people I knew, my family, my friends, my surroundings. So what is poetry? Poetry is the articulation of life in motion or emotion or however you're expressing it, right? Expressing it, pardon yourself. So I took my struggle and my real life nuance of what I had gone through and expressed it in a way that was meant to be for God, meant to be for my personal, expression, my own cathartic release to the heavens, but in a rhythmic way where my friends could flow with it. So when I saw that, people would listen, they say the attention span is 3 minutes, but if I could hold you for 3.5 to 5, I must be doing something good. So since it wasn't nothing crazy, I'm like, this is what I do.
And that's all. Open it to our other poets here. That's what we talk about. What is the difference between slam poetry and reading a poem at an open mic? What is the difference between slam poetry and performing a musical piece? Or is it sort of akin to that? And so I don't know if, Shai, since you also do music and hip hop, do you consider what you do as slam versus hip hop as different things, or they overlap?
So when you get into the nuances of things, there's, of course, the difference. But on a molecular level, I've always looked at it as there isn't too much of a separation. And I say that because I have come from strictly being a hip-hop MC where Lou found me, and I was literally doing one of my long-form raps a cappella, which means with no beat. And she heard beyond the rhythmic cadence of it, the subject matter and my delivery, my timing on it could easily be formatted to slam. I didn't know what slam was. My great friend Shaq Payne was a slam poet and competed in Slam High underneath Rena Golden. So he had already done that circuit, and I've watched him do workshops with kids where I've attempted to do it. And at first I thought slam poetry was that it was something completely different, instead of realizing how easy it is to transform what I do. And all it is breaking the walls of the cadence that music has. Music is a house. It's a building, right? And your words bounce from wall to wall, from ceiling to floor. Whereas poetry, there's no wall. You can linger a word as long as you want to. You can shorten it as long as you want to. And it's more of a conversation. As a person whose music has transformed from punchline heavy and only melodic to more of a conversation of welcoming people into my stories and experiences, breaking that wall has allowed me to only reinforce it even stronger with my music, to where I can even now make a rap and know exactly how to evoke the emotion in a way that I do in performance poetry and make people feel it even more in a song. So what it did for me was almost break me down and build me back up with new principles of knowing that I have autonomy over how I deliver, regardless if it's with a beat or if it's not. And also the subject matter, prioritizing that, understanding the power and vulnerability. Whereas when I first started rapping, it was about impressing people and showing them that I'm the nicest out. And though in slam, I still can't do that, which I love, to get up there and tell my very own story and still be a 30 out of 30, you know what I mean? But more importantly, knowing that I'm excelling and showing that I'm nice, but in a very human and relatable way that hopefully somebody who walks out of here, regardless if they gave me a 10 or a 1, whatever I did tonight helped them. And it's the kind of innocence in knowing that I could still be elite, but elite with a gift from God and with a purpose that God gave me.
And that's how I want to bring Matthew in on this. But first, I forgot to mention earlier, if you have a question for our guests, you can call 844-295-TALK. That's 844-295-8255. That's the toll-free number, or locally the number is 585-263-9994. You can also email. The address is connections@wxxi.org, or comment on the Connections live stream. We're on the WXXI News YouTube channel, and while you're there, subscribe so you can keep in touch with more of these conversations. So Matthew, did you come to it from poetry and adding a beat, or you were a musician who found your word back to the word?
My way into slam was a bit more complicated than these guys. I came in a little late. I also, sorry, get back into this microphone. That's something I encounter on stage as well. So no, I started out writing poetry. I've written poetry my whole life. I got into rapping because it seemed like a way to reach people around me. Poetry wasn't something that seemed to hit. I always knew when I wrote, it was kind of like deaf poetry. I didn't know anything about slam. Mm-hmm. When I rapped, I would find myself with these long verses that I would have to almost tailor to the beat. Like Shai said, confine them to that house of music. And then after music, I kind of hung it up for a little while, probably in like 2010, and just let life live. Something you kind of have to get back there, you know? I mean, if it's in you, it just kind of creeps back. So ironically, in 2017, I reached out to Ms. Lou here, and it was right about the time Rock Bottom had disbanded. I had done a little bit of research and found out about them prior to my reaching out. So my first introduction to slam was actually in Boston, or in Cambridge. I went to the Lizard Lounge. It's a about 34-year-old poetry slam. And there I made some connections. Miss Lou put me onto some things here. First time I performed in Rochester was actually at an open mic for a show by Shai and Shaq Payne. That's always a point of pride I'll throw out there. Yeah, absolutely. So I was fortunate enough to have Ms. Lou and Shaq reach out to me last year when they formed North Star, and I was given the opportunity to join the team. Here we are. Yes.
Awesome.
So yeah, can you talk a little bit about this competition aspect? Because sometimes in arts we say, unlike the sports, we're not competing, right?
Oh, no, it's real.
But then also how that seems to not fuel a negative sort of competition. There's so much that everyone's speaking about, being vulnerable, being human, working together, being inspired and caring for people. So I don't know who wants to speak about this mix of competition and community you have going on.
It's a challenge to see how many different ways you could be your best self. It's like, well, when I got with Slam High, I'm the writers and books champion. I'm the first writers and books champion, but other champions came after me. And when I won, I caught a bug. It was like a bug. Like, it was nowhere for me to express myself. And if I went to music, I would have to pay producers. I would need to work with engineers. Things would go wrong with the mic. I was also a promoter, so I went to the shows and the nightclubs and understood there was a business aspect to this. So on the business side, as a competitor and an entrepreneur, my business is my poetry, like a rapper's album, like a rapper's thing. So I was never turning a stage down. Most Def came here in 07, same year Slam High was here. He came to U of R. He let people ask him questions. I was the second to last person to ask him a question. He turned me down, but he said, "This ain't no overnight thing. You gotta stick your nose to the grindstone." And after that, I did six shows a week. I would do 3 shows a day, 4 or 5 shows a day, 5 times a week. I would never say no. Lou said, "I'm going to do Floetic Rhythms." I was like, "I'll be there." He said, "I want to do S&T Lounge." I'll be there. Clarissa's. I'll be there. If a venue, I just wouldn't turn it down. I practiced and I honed in, and the competitions was like, "Yo, which Agape gonna show up today?" And it was like, it's almost like that to me. It's like a game where I get to pick which outfit I'm wearing, which weapon. This is about to be great. I'm about to go have a good time.
Yeah, it's definitely. Mama Lou will tell you I have this. It's this ritual. When my name gets called up to the stage, I often don't know what poem I'm gonna throw until after I take my final exhale, because I know that the rules of Slam. Once you interact with the audience, once you say your first word, time starts, right? And I know time is very, very important in Slam, down to the millisecond. And so I like strategizing and taking the what I'm hearing from all the other poets and watching how it impacts other people. I like to move people. I like to make people feel things. I like to make people feel me and my story. So I always am looking at what is going to move the audience the most. What is going to heavily impact them, right? Am I going to do a poem or something that is a story of my upbringing, being a bigger guy? Am I gonna do a identity piece? Am I gonna talk about depression? Do I feel like there might be somebody in this audience tonight that will be heavily impacted by something related to mental health? Or am I gonna talk about love? Is there a couple that just happens to be a judge? Well, let me talk about love because I feel like it's really gonna get them. Mm-hmm. Or the fun part of strategizing is throwing the monkey wrench in the competition, right? Where there might be a lot of heavy pieces that are scoring, maybe high or maybe in the middle throughout this night. And let me go and do a comedic piece to break the tension. And knowing what happens to the mind of somebody when they hear something fresh, they're automatically going to be like, oh, I haven't seen that. It's going to score higher. So it's the playbook of poetry that I enjoy too. But also, it's the gamble, which is, sometimes it's upsetting, but it's the game. You never know if a poem that is a 30 out of 30, it's gotten a 30 out of 30 in every time you've performed it. But tonight, it might get a 22. You might get a 5 tonight. You might get a 10. You might get a 6. And you never really know. And it's the gamble of it. And I had to learn to not take it personally. Like, it's not my poem that sucked. It didn't resonate with this judge. And we purposely, when we're hosting, tell the judges a very strict guideline That a 10 means that this poem was ordained and blessed. The people who heard this poem, the roof opened up off the top of the building. God brought his hand down and shook hands with the poet, and everybody saw fireflies and got $1 million. That's a 10. And a 0 is the opposite of that. It's the worst possible ear-bleeding thing that you could have possibly heard. You wish you could create a reset button to make sure the poet was never alive. That is a 0. And when you get those parameters and a poet does a poem, you're like, well, did God come here? God ain't come here. All right, that's a 4. So
let's say, I see Matthew nodding there, but I will say I think it's Anderson Allen. I've heard read at the Little, and I was sobbing. I went there just, to introduce some poets, and I came out like, shaking, walking into the night. I've also heard Rena's students reading at Martin Luther King Jr. Park, or speaking. I guess I can't say reading. And that's where I was really struck by this sense of like generations and youth, but adults also. We need an outlet as well. So what does this play in our life in different parts? So as an amateur musician, I think about that a lot, of being in community orchestras, but this is a whole nother one. So Matthew, you were nodding along a bit.
Yeah,
with
speaking
what
to the
saying.
competition and whatnot, I was nodding as far as the judgment's concerned. When Shai said, someone can score you a 30 or a 22 on any given night. Yeah. You really can't let that affect you. And coming in, I always tried to say, I don't care about winning. I don't care about the competition. I want to do as many poems as I can. Mm-hmm. Meaning is, if I advance in the competition, I do more poems. I try to keep that like communal attitude as I add that to my approach. You'll encounter people that are really like competition heavy. I don't really see that in our city. And I think that can take away from it. So it's very important to like focus on the art, the poetry. Again, what Shai was saying, look to how you can affect somebody in the audience. The more people you can affect, the better. But less about the scores than it is about the people that come up to you after and say, this really touched me. I'll tell you what, you'll hold on to that a lot longer than any victory.
For sure.
That's the beautiful thing about slam and the competition. You're almost in competition with yourself to outdo yourself.
So are those things that all of you have learned over time? I mean, when you first started, perhaps as a kid, was it more about the sort of the external? Or I guess you've sort of alluded to that. Maybe, Lou, you can talk about building the community, bringing kids up, and then finding how adults find their way into this, how it's grown over time for you, who you've worked with. Because I think a lot of people look to you as Mama Lou, who's been there for them.
Right. I feel that name was given to me. It isn't something that I consciously did. It's just my natural way of being nurturing, encouraging, creating a safe space, making sure I have iron sharpening iron. If I see the potential in somebody and I see someone who they remind me of that individual when they first started, I may put them in the same space just to see what naturally happens and gets cultivated. So with Rock Bottom, I feel like over a 4-year period, we probably had 11 poets come through, like some leave and then get more. But the family aspect was really strong as far as being involved in each other's lives, knowing, the children, bringing, I don't have a babysitter, bring your child to rehearsal. So just really making sure we cultivate that. And North Star Poets, it's a totally different vibe and energy. Not worse, not better. It's just different because it sprang out of just, hey, let's just have some poetry slam competitions in Rochester again, because after Rock Bottom disbanded, there were a few here and there, but there was no consistent monthly slam poetry events happening. So I'm just that type of person. That's how Rock Bottom started. We had no slam team in Rochester. Syracuse had one, Buffalo had one. I was like, why doesn't Rochester have an adult slam team? Rena was done. She was doing plays and theater. So I think I know enough to kind of get this going. So anytime that I've done something, it's because I felt the community wanted it and needed it. So when you approach it from that standpoint, I think organically things like Rock Bottom happen and North Star Poets happens. But with the poets, I just try to make sure that they know how talented they are. If I see potential, I'm gonna do my best to try to bring it out. And then whatever happens after that, they just go and soar and do what they do.
I'm excited also that we'll be hearing some slam poetry during the hour, perhaps in a few minutes after the break. But one question that someone asked me that is, of course, an obvious one, and I should ask, where can people go to hear this, or if they're curious even about trying it? So are there places in Rochester that if you're like, I want to hear some slam poetry, where would you these days go?
We have a monthly event at the Vault Cafe on Culver Road. It generally started out as Rock Bottom Family Slam before North Star really became a thing. So it's pretty much Rock Bottom Slam Family presents North Star Poets. But we do that generally every third Friday. We start usually around 8 o'clock. Doors open at 7:30, but people show up at 7 o'clock ready and hungry for it. But for the most part, it's consistently every third Friday. But this month we're doing something a little different because if you don't know, it's National Poetry Month. So this coming Sunday, we will be at the Vault Cafe, and we will be doing a little bit of slam, but we're going to open up the mic a bit to get more poets out. So I don't know about other places, but
like a spoken social.
yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Like a poet's
Okay.
tea.
I like this. Oh.
Do any of the rest of you have places where you know people should sort of go to seek this out? I guess follow also. Nowadays, we can probably see you on YouTube and Instagram and everything.
Yeah. I mean, I try to spread the word. I work in the schools, so I try to get all of the district staff and students who are trying to, experience poetry. But a lot of people don't know that it's here or it exists. Or I'll show them a video or they'll see me perform and I'll be like, that's homegrown right here. And right here is where we do it. Oh, that actually happens here? Like, yes, please come, bring everybody. Yep.
So yeah, we're about to take our only break for the hour, but when we come back, I am going to put our guests, some slam poets, on the spot and ask them to share some words with us. And we'll be back in just a minute.
Support for your public radio station comes from our members and from Mary Cariola Center, supporting residents to become active members of the community, from developing life skills to gaining independence. Mary Cariola Center, transforming lives of people with disabilities. More online at marycariola.org. And Rochester Hearing and Speech Center, serving the region for over 100 years, supporting hearing health from newborns to seniors, providing audiology testing and treatment options to help people stay connected to the sounds of everyday life. More at rhsc.org.
And we're back here on Connection, speaking with slam poets from Rochester, including Lou Highsmith, Agape, Armageddon Towns, Shy the Realist, and Matthew Edward Van Scott, also known as Mossberg Matt. And they are going to be showing or sharing some poetry with us, but also want to invite you to join the conversation. You have a question for our guests, you can call 844-295-TALK. That's 844-295-8255. You can email connections@wxxi.org. Or if you're watching on YouTube, comment on the live stream. That's on the WXXI News YouTube channel. And we do have a comment from YouTube that says, "Have Agape spit the truth." So I think, I don't know if I'm supposed to see some head shaking there, but we also have a call from Frederick from Rochester who wants to speak about his poetry book. Hello, Frederick.
Hi. My name is Frederick. I work at the University at Buffalo. I'm a librarian, full professor. I'm working on a manuscript right now called The Poetics of Climate Change. When I was listening to this piece, I was really intrigued. I have not included anything with regard to hip-hop or rap, and I sort of did a real quick search, and I'm missing a big chunk of poetry. And I have to figure out how to incorporate it because I'm doing right now, they're more like books. But I just wanted to, one thing is to say thank you for, telling me about this whole, this genre that I've heard about. But we're seeing, I hope that we're seeing that we're reaching people and telling them the message of the realities of what climate change is, what it does. I've got books that talk about despair and destruction. I've got poetry that's written on hope and everything in between. And it's just amazing how people can learn the emotion and the emotionality of the dangers of climate change through poetry and now through hip hop and rap. So I just wanted to say thank you. I wanted to hear if you know of anybody that's doing any of this kind of work.
Absolutely. In Buffalo, there's a monthly slam through the Pure Ink poetry slam team at the MT coffee shop.
Empty Cup, yeah.
And one of the North Star poets is actually in Buffalo.
Absolutely.
A Rose.
Yes,
A
Rose
Rose
in
in
Buffalo.
Buffalo.
In Buffalo. Yep. So if you look up a Rose in Buffalo, or the North Star Poets, reach out to the North Star Poets. We have poets and orators ready to assist you with your endeavor or to help guide you in that direction. That's what the North Star is for.
Yes, yes.
I do believe Rose has been experimenting with some music and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
as of
Yes,
late.
Absolutely.
she has expanded to music and also expanded to working on her own book. So Rose in Buffalo, call her, reach out to her, and look around. And Wednesday nights, Thursday nights, drive down Broadway. You will see an open mic.
Yeah.
You will see an open mic.
Well, and I love it. Thanks so much for calling, Frederick. I love that we're making this connection here on Connections, because when people talk to me about our music scene or our art scene, there's so many different scenes, and the more that we sort of bridge different aspects of arts and our community and cultures really makes me happy to hear. So glad to have that. You were mentioning right before the break a few other things. We are part of a great region for arts, that it's easy to travel to Buffalo, to Syracuse, to other places. So there are some other groups or venues people should know about?
Absolutely. North Star just took place in October in the Empire State Poetry Slam in Troy, New York.
Let's go.
It's part of the greater
Let's go.
Unspoken Word Festival, I believe. Yes. And we left with a first place prize.
Congratulations.
Yes,
Snaps all around, snaps and parades.
We didn't not really shouting out any other teams. I apologize for the team, I believe, from Albany there. I think we had
all the poets were
Syracuse,
great.
Amherst. Yes,
Right?
everybody's
The points
great.
is not the points, it's the poetry. Y'all did great. You did
Absolutely.
great all the way from
It's about
Rochester.
the community.
But I don't want to talk over anybody. However, we created a trifecta, pretty much with Pure Ink in Buffalo, Rochester at the time it was rock bottom, but it's North Star right now.
Yes.
And Syracuse is picking back up as well. They took a little hiatus, but the underground poetry spot in Syracuse. So we are looking forward to, revitalizing that trifecta. So if you're in Syracuse, underground poetry spot, check them out. And also Pure Ink in Buffalo. And if you're in Rochester, anytime North Star Poets is involved in anything, we're doing our monthly slams, but we've also been invited, obviously, to the Little Theater, as well as quite a few other places. So generally, if it's like Juneteenth or National Poetry Month or Black History Month, at some point in time, North Star Poets is probably going to be involved in something.
And of course, perhaps one of you can, in case people don't know in Rochester where the name North Star comes from, share the origin of that.
Okay. I don't. Okay.
As we know, for those who don't know, KPA, aka Rochester, New York, is the home of many great leaders and patriarchs and matriarchs. One such founder, as the name of Frederick Douglass, happens to be the home of his very own newspaper printed at 42 Favor Street, happens to be my home church, AME Zion. 549 Clarissa Street. You can come on Sundays. We open. Just letting you know. But that newspaper is Frederick Douglass newspaper. This is the paper that led not only the abolition and not only the mark of literature and freedom, but it gave a clear and unequivocal path for the American scholar, the American academic, the American literary novice, the American poet to expand and express himself right here in Rochester, New York. So we say, hey, since there was a drought, There was an emptiness, there was a nothingness, there was a darkness, there in the distance, shining in the light right behind Sirius B. Be a star, see, a Polaris type star, and that's where we got North Star. Every last one of us shines from inside with a guiding light.
That's
Let's
it.
go. Let's go.
Perhaps that will bring us to the part where we demonstrate some slam poetry. And are each of our artists here willing to share just a few minutes each? Who should I put on the spot first?
I'm always ready. Okay, we got time. I'll start it off. I'm going to do something light to get us, in the zone, right? All right. This is the slam piece that I competed in with the Southern Fried Slam Poetry. Shout out to North Star Poets going to the Southern Fried Slam Poetry Slam this year in Orlando, Florida.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this was when it was in Tennessee. When you see a YN, tell them Boomaye. And if you forget that, tell them Megiddo say to keep your heads high. Cause they might kill you for what you know. They might kill me for sure for this flow. And I must never lie so. Ancestors say that truth must be spoke. So now here we go. Now I mean really, you gotta figure deal me 8 years. I've been a slave and still evolved into a trail king. I'm from behind that wall with all those really real G's. Just for my 23 and ones that won't get to hear me. I pull up on every little homie. I let them know that they are never lonely. I tell them build with the real and never with the phony. On God I am chosen, but I'm not the only. Shots from my cops leave mothers in bereavement. Strange fruit trees start blood leaking. I'm not safe from these clans, policemen, but marching in circles won't make it stop. Shots on my block leave families torn and weeping. Blood flows daily and on the weekends. I'm not safe from the dope or the weed, man, but making it rain won't buy my block. They cattle herd us in a line and shave our heads clean. Make us bend and spread them like some strippers in a club scene. And if you're speaking out, the response is plenty plain. They speak fluent baton, but the translator is pain. My soul is so sovereign. Straw man has so much clout. House joint resolution is what that line's about. Jail is the new Jim Crow. The whole hood is dancing now. Hip hop is full of millionaires, but not a soul is bailing out. Singers say they selling sacks right outside the trap house. Not a charge or rat and rap. Someone tell me how. Everyone's a gangster. That's a fantasy fact. I never met a rapper who I thought was Geronimo Pratt. Call me Mandela cause you couldn't hold me. They had gave me 17, but that did not fold me. I gave it back at 3-0, pay me what you owe me. They called me OG, but still I'm just a young homie. Gangsta you're not, you never stood firm in your feet down. The enemy knows you're a weakling. Popping pills and lean you're drinking. You probably turn your queen into a thought. Blame you alright, walking dead, I'll go catch you sleeping. When revolutionary I come creeping, I could make you choose slavery or freedom, cause you sold your soul for a shiny watch. Watch, I'm a Phoenix King calling forth the Phoenix in you. Keep Nipsey's hustle alive, this marathon continues. Tupacalyptic Fred Hampton, I was bred for action. Shaka Zulu mixed with Tucson, so I'm ready to rise. I'm set to blaze them in the court like I'm Jonathan Jackson. But call me George when you see the blood in my eyes. You got a long list of prophets, I'm the next in line. El Haj Malik El Shabazz mixed with the divine. I turn my pen into a shotgun, got on Tubman grind. That means I'm free and slave, so far 144. If the others knew that they were slaves, I would have freed some more. Still having trouble with the Decepticon swine, then call on the Unicron, I'm the original prime. I feel her soul and I love her soaking. Showed her a god, no goddess is posing. And if you can't speak, then we'll be your spokesman like ra-ta-ta-ta, shots for op Iraqi freedom. Simplify them, I'm Marine to a bleeding. To the servicemen and vets who squeeze them, I might be gone, but I have not forgot. Ra-ta-ta-ta, shots for comrades dying in these streetlands in the war on drugs and poverty. And my government ought be charged with treason for turning my home into a grave plot.
Woo.
Turn up.
It's Agape Armageddon Towns sharing some poetry with us as part of today's episode of Connections. We don't have too much time left for comments, but I do still want to let you know you can call in at 844-295-TALK or also comment on the WXXI News YouTube channel. And now, who is willing to go next?
All right. So this poem is my most jubilant, triumphal poem I've ever written. in my life. And it goes, today, I woke up. That's it. That's the poem. That's the climax. That's the conclusion. That's the blessing. That's the blessing. That's the birth of new lessons. The death of my stressing, the death of my fear of death, the death of my questions. My questions of death, questions of life, questions of the rest of mine, questions of time, questions on if I'm wasting time. I've realized I've wasted time worrying about wasting time. And now is the only time on my mind. And my mind is timeless. Even these rhymes are timeless. The time reminded me that my life is vibrant and today I'm alive. And that's better than I was last night. Well, last night was almost my last night. When my brother hitting my brother's blunt was almost my last flight. When my battle with depression was almost my last fight. Last night was a past life that I would never have to live again. Because I woke up with the chance to live again. I woke up. I woke up. I woke up. Even saying that gets me choked up. Pride in my throat, emitting thoughts of suicide is a tough pill to swallow. Suicide was a tough pill to swallow. Life isn't a thing I can borrow. Even if I take my own, I can't give it back. So today I woke up. A new chance. A new man. A new canvas. Ready for the opportunity I'm drawn to. A new task to be taught. A new mistake to avoid. A new correction. A new flaw, no. A new example of perfection. A new strength. A new strength for a new rep. A new rep when I bench press my depression. Another excuse to get something off my chest. My chest. I fill my lungs with new breath. A new chance to breathe. I have the chance to breathe. We have the chance to breathe. I no longer say I can't. I won't let a dying man's words live in me. I let my words live through a dying man. Speak life. Because today I can speak life. Because today I am speak life. Because today I stand. My vocal cords be the elastic to spring back when you fall. You haven't seen your best day yet. Don't quit after your worst. Depression is only a cloud. The sky gets bright when they disperse. You want to know why we don't lose? Fighters. Because our script wasn't written this way. Not tonight, depression. Not tonight, feelings of inadequacy. See, your mind will try to demean your accomplishments and call it logic, but logically, today, I'm alive. And may this Phoenix's rising actions forever be my rising actions. Today I woke up. Boom.
Come on.
That's Shy the Realist here on Connections, as we share slam poetry and talk about it as part of National Poetry Month. And we have a few more poets in the room, and I was wondering then if Mossberg Matt would grace us with some words.
Absolutely. Just like Shy said, it's right up into that last breath. You kind of wonder what you're going to say. So I'm not from Rochester. I was born here. I'm from Lyons, New York, and we're experiencing a urban renewal, if you will, some gentrification that's coming about. And, you know, this place I'm from is more like a superorganism. It's subjected to attempted suburbanization from what was an urbanesque landscape of many faces. As gentrification races to the forefront, chipping away the bricks of our 4-story tenements to their cores, tearing at the heritage saturated into the plaster and lath and studs within the walls and joists under the floorboards. To think, before I'd want for no more, but for the commonality found in that corner, a dime bag of dirt weed and some cash to get some Phillies and snacks at the store. A slice of pizza from Nima. Remember, we'd be arrested on the street with misdemeanors, withering eyesores, more or less brothers than friends, more like conjoined twins from many mothers and different dads. Multiple mutual father figures had us exchanging cash for paper stamps for cash at Frank's General Store. From a young age, indoctrinated to the double up, and it all came back fast as
They sent in specialist rats, Andrew Chambers, to try to tame us. Those attempts were made in vain, yes. Pay that man and send him back to where he came from in jest. Wayne Task Force, we didn't talk to your strangers, no. Instead, you got our own people to play us, using the same method applied to the steps by which we came up. You caught fiends with direct sale charges, released them to set up the larger target. Once their feet were on the front porch, you proceeded to kick the doors in. Dogs barking at the raiding, kids crying afraid, women screaming, pulled from the bed, naked and agape amid the epitome of all acts of intimacy. No shame displayed on covered faces, masked up to hide the terrorizing of the innocent from the headlines as the war on drugs was levied against a bare minimum sentences of shock camp to most 17-year-olds who were dabbled in the clandestine practice of making something from nothing. This place has laid claims to its history, yet it is selective of such as its labels inhabitants that have gifted it with greatness as the enemy from within. The window is left open for the devil, while the door was slammed shut on the forward progression to be naturally made by its residential composition. It's the same way New York changed Hell's Kitchen and made Clinton. Skeletonize it until it's unrecognizable. Move the rich in, displace the undesirable and those considered vile who don't fit into the framework of a developer's vision. And as property values rise, homeowners will cash out and move on. Some will hold on for a while, but in due time be taxed out as they won't have enough income or cash to cover the value of that house. And it's so sad how it's been packaged and sold as if removing cracked facades like rubbing blood away from their mouths will somehow erase the open wound that will remain this place's beautiful truth, because it can never escape its soul, no matter how hard they try to knock it down and burn it and bury it next to the riverside. It's funny. Rip the heart out of something. Just stand back and watch it die.
Come on.
My apologies. I tripped up a little bit there. I haven't
Oh,
done that in a
you're
while.
Nobody knew.
Appreciate you.
Nobody
Yeah.
knew.
Appreciate you.
Nobody knew because
That's
you did it at a
Mossberg back.
punchline. That's the whole point. That was fire. See?
This is
See?
amazing.
This is what happens at a slam. You don't know where it's coming from. When I went to B&V was Brave New Voices. It was 400 poets, 36 cities, 45 teams, between the ages of 14 and 25 coming together for a week to a weekend doing this right here, what you see, sharing the knowledge and understanding of their reflections in such a way that it methodically teaches you and pulls you into their life.
Yeah.
Not only was every piece structurally different just now, but they were interconnected.
Yep.
And as a personal, I related to both of those to the fullest. I don't know about people listening, but this is why I come to Slam. This is why I do. Yeah. To see who's gonna help me think about what I'm going through in such a way that I can think myself through it.
Yep.
Instead of it forgetting me.
Or even sparking that creative spark in you again to create again.
Period.
You know?
That's what it is. It sparks growth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instantly, instantaneous, and then it's continuous, and then the repertoires and the growth. It's just we ain't got enough time.
Yeah.
That's why we need our own show. How about y'all
Personally experienced.
I was about to say,
last
some
year.
people on the
Star
YouTube are ready to start hiring all of you and also want you to do a lyrical rap together,
What's up?
combined. I don't know if we have time, though.
What's up? We do lyrical laps.
Well, let's see. We got but I think they might have to come out to one of your shows. We've just got
Yeah.
2 or 3 minutes left for the show, but I want to say as someone
What's
who,
up, 60 seconds.
yeah, okay, lyrical
got
rap,
a
60
60
seconds.
second thing.
60
Okay, look,
seconds,
look,
three
look,
of you
look.
go.
When we was first doing lyrical laps, right? It was with me, E-Dot, right before we got ASEAN. We used to just use parts of pieces that we had from our own repertoire
Okay.
and cut it off where we thought it was hot.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
So just start and go.
Me first?
Yeah.
Like the bad balled up report card in your pocket. It was in your jeans to fail.
Will I be all that I was meant to be? Will I have all that was made for me? Or will these devils laugh as they lay wait for me? Will I wander a slave's path far away from free?
The dominoes fall as time passes, like strobe lights that streak over prolonged exposure photographs. I hold the Instamatic and focus it onto the past tense, and essence is released via Instagram and Snapchat, released into the grasp of
Always wanting to be a baller. You never given a sense of direction you needed, but instead of asking for a compass like the North Star, you decided to continue being a lost poet, encompassing yourself in a circle of real poets whose authenticity matched that of a politician.
Somewhere in the darkness of my unconsciousness, I am forever conscious with images and flashes, ever splashing in the backness. I left myself somewhere in a chasm backwards, and then I learned maybe through my spines, through alignment, I could grow in time with 6 more bones. Spread them out, spread them wide. Seraphim full of pride, 6-winged eye might fly into the sky and pass it by and by, by and by, by and by.
And I toss from my chest this Molotov with an underhanded back, spinning glass, shattered expressive ignition of gases, incinerating facts from these alternative factions, the domino effect of a right-sided chain reaction to bigotry, winning bigly, fig leaf of Edens in fashion, and bitten off forbidden fruit positioned within the windpipe of Adam isn't exclusive to a talisman of masculinity, nor that fallacy's been slashed within the nails of Lilith, who scratched from the hands of banishment and scratched to grip on class action, hashtag vengeance as it tick-tocks beyond the misogyny and the fascism at present and past Christian nationalist rhetoric of homeland tacked on ribbons and pinned on ice badges and automatic white privilege against black disadvantage and semi-automatic and Kevlar vested behind extended magazines against young upturned black palms in front of hoodies and tees. Black life matters, as does that of the huddled masses of Latins, Africans, and the Arabic. And freedom has an inherent narrative that its equalities cherish.
Yeah,
Except it isn't this. It's Uncle Sam's an embarrassment.
Mossberg Matt, Shy the Realist, and Agape Armageddon Towns sharing a lyrical rap with us. Lou Highsmith, thank you for bringing together this group. We got to hear some of your poetry more sometime.
Eventually, yes.
Thank you to the whole crew working on the radio show and the YouTube stream behind the scenes here at Connections, especially Julie Williams, who helped arrange so much of this week. Be sure to follow the North Star Poets and the Rock Bottom Family Slam to keep up, to connect to more of this. Thank you so much.
This program is a production of WXXI Public Radio. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of this station, its staff, management, or underwriters. The broadcast is meant for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or use in another medium without expressed written consent of WXXI is strictly prohibited. Connections with Evan Dawson is available as a podcast. Just click on the Connections link at WXXInews.org.